Through standing in line, the clubs I'll never get in. It's like the bottom of the ninth, and I'm never gonna win this. Life hasn't turned out quite the way I want it to be. Tell me what you want. I want a brand new house on an episode of Cribs, and a bathroom I can play baseball in, and a king-size tub big enough for 10 plus me. For what you need. I'll need a credit card that's got no limit, and a big black chair with a bedroom in it. Gonna join the Mile High Club at 37,000 feet. Been done. I want a new tour bus full of old guitars, Mount Star on Hollywood Boulevard. Somewhere between Cher and James Dean is fine for me. So how you gonna do it? I'm gonna trade this life for fortune and fame. I'd even cut my hair and change my name. Cause we all just wanna be big rock stars and live in hilltop bosses, driving 15 cars. The girls come easy and the drugs come cheap.
Good evening and happy Halloween and welcome to The Man Show. I'm your host, Mike Guzman, and today we have a special guest, horror writer Ray Prue, and good friend of mine. And today he will be doing his best Vincent Price and reading to you all one of his very scary stories out of Delightful Nightmares. I'm your host, Mike Guzman, and I thought we'd go into sports really quick because there was some big sports news today. I don't know if you heard, Peter.
Tell me.
Jay Ajayi was traded from the Miami Dolphins to the Eagles.
That's the running back.
The running back,
wow.
Yeah. And he's from Britain, which I traveled to a few times. And his rookie year, the Dolphins used to do this Dolphins kickoff luncheon every year before the season started. And I actually had lunch with him his rookie year. And we were talking about England because he said most of his family is from there. And a really nice kid, and he even has the British accent. And he was born there, I guess, and moved to the States, moved to Texas. And
Texas is a little bit like Britain.
Yeah. and so I met him, and he was a nice kid. And I told him, I said to him, I says, you're going to be a great player in this league. And he was very modest. He was like, thank you, for saying that. And we shook hands. I got a picture with him. It's on Facebook. And so, now I'll be rooting for him on another team, even though he won't be in the Dolphins.
Who did he get traded to?
The Eagles. Might be a good trade.
Yeah.
I mean, they got a better quarterback than what we have in Miami, so he might be got a better team.
Sure.
So
they have a better front line too.
Yeah, because the game I saw last week with the Baltimore was just pathetic. And the other thing, too, is that I don't understand why the Dolphins traded him because he was one of their better players. It just didn't make sense why they would, get rid of him. And then we also have tonight, we have the World Series Game 6 for those of you out there, baseball fans. And I'm really hoping for tonight, for Game 6, I'm hoping that the Astros take it because I think if it goes to a Game 7, I'm thinking that Houston may lose the series. If the series goes to 7 games, the World Series, I think the Dodgers will win.
You know what? I picked the Dodgers. Actually, I picked Cleveland, Chicago again.
Right.
So I was out of it.
Right.
But the series, I picked the Dodgers. I don't care. Part of me is like, hey, the Astros are like, they play right down the road here.
Right.
Spring training.
Right.
But there's nothing like a Game 7.
A Game 7 would be good.
I'd love the Dodgers to win tonight, only to have a Game 7.
Game 7, yeah. Well, I think it's definitely it'll be in LA. So I think if there is a Game 7, I think it plays to the advantage of the Dodgers if there is a Game 7. But I'm as I said, I met some of the guys on Houston, so I'm kind of rooting for Houston. Especially they went through a lot with the hurricane. Didn't they get hit by one of the hurricanes during the hurricane season?
Harvey.
Yeah, so it'll be kind of a good finish to the story because a lot of the players were out there helping the community. So it would be a nice end story to see if Houston were to win it. But Dodgers still got a good young team, so it could still be anyone's game.
Yeah, but you know what? 2001, 9/11 hit New York, right? 9/11, the Yankees made the World Series. They lost.
Right.
Katrina hit New Orleans. New Orleans Saints made it to the World Series, to the Super Bowl. They lost.
Oh, that's
so
right.
It just fitting that, what was Harvey hit Houston this year, and it was a catastrophe. They made it to the World Series. They should lose. I mean,
Well, hopefully not. I'm hoping the guys pull it off, but I think it's anyone's game. I do think both teams are young enough that even the losing team will probably be back in it, I think. But, anyway, without a further ado, we have our guest here, Ray Prue. He's a good friend of mine. Even though he and I don't see the eye politically, we do have other common interests, and it kind of shows you that in this world that two people that have different political views can be friends. I'm a Democrat against Trump. He's a pro-Trump, avid Trump supporter. But we do have our common ground. We're both kind of nerds. We're middle-aged guys who like comic book and comic book movies. So that's kind of one of our common grounds, and reading comic books. So we do have that one thing in common.
So you're like Sheldon and Leonard here?
Kind of, but an older version. I guess older version.
We're not roommates, but something like that. Yeah.
Right. So we do talk comics a lot and superheroes, and we've seen a bunch of the movies, the Marvel movies. Although he liked the last Spider-Man, I wasn't as crazy about the last Homecoming Spider-Man.
Then I put out a video called "Let Me Out."
And we also did a movie called Let Me Out, which I helped him produce out of one of his short stories. It's on YouTube. Has like 2,000 hits. It's called Let Me Out.
By Ray Prue.
And it's by Ray Prue here. And it was fun. We had a good time doing it. I Serge Tavares, it was our camera person who did it, and he's worked with a lot of like music artists, and he's done a lot behind the scenes with Discovery Channel and whatnot. And it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed our time. We did it very quick too. We did an 8-minute video in 4 hours, so that was pretty fast. I mean, sometimes you got your major big productions, 8-minute video could be done over 2 days' time. So for 4 hours,
or longer,
8 minutes, or longer, right? So 8 minutes was pretty good for 4 hour shoot. But so Ray, let me ask you, you're into Rocky Horror. How long have you been doing that?
Since I was 23, roughly about going on almost 40 years now, 35 years, maybe more.
Wow. Almost as long as I've been alive, you've been doing the Rocky Horror. He's an avid cast member of the Rocky Horror scene. And
I am proud to be a soldier in the RKO Army, and I am also a faithful handyman from the Fort Lauderdale cast. RKO Army is Rhode Island.
Yeah, he's from Rhode Island. And seems like most of my friends here in Florida are from up north.
Duh.
Rhode Island, Boston, New York. A lot of my friends even me at Boston. So let me ask you: you've written a lot of horror stories. Where is it you draw these stories from? What is it? Real life? Is it?
The Let Me Out story was real life. That's a true story. Let Me Out. The other story is just my imagination in the dark corners of my soul. I let it out once in a while.
Right.
It's kind of therapy in a way.
And we're going to talk about you had one of your stories. I think you told me for the listeners to know you had one of your stories because there's some people that would disagree, would be on your side in this. Even myself, even though we don't agree politically, that you had one of your stories was pulled from publishing because of some comments you made on Facebook. I mean, you don't have to go into total details.
I had one story that's going to go out to this one particular publisher. And he's also to put it out as a standalone book. They put a cover on it. We were all set and good to go. I was going to make royalties on it once he put the book out. And then I made a couple of statements on YouTube supporting Donald Trump. And 4 hours later, I got a very polite, here's your story back, get lost letter. And I contacted an attorney who contacted him. At first, the other publisher sent my lawyer a letter acting all defiant and tough. And my lawyer filed something. And he went from being all acting tough to whiny and pleading for mercy and then please don't come after me when you'll bleed suck the marrow out of my bones. So I just let him go. There's no money to get out of a dry well, but I'm done dealing with him. I'll just find another home for the story.
Right. Yeah, that you know, I just think it was kind of messed up for him to. I've read the letter he wrote you, and he was kind of crying about it after he after he saw you hired a lawyer and we're going to fight him back.
From what I understand from people who used to work for him, he started off with 10 different authors, then he went down to 6, and then he went out of business altogether.
Yeah. See, that happens in the arts. There's people that I've worked with that have different political views than me. I'm more liberal, and I believe that certain times you got to put things to the side, and when it comes to art, I feel like my views are put to the side, and let's get together and let's make this project. Let's go out there and do this art. Yeah, keep the politics out of it. And some of my good friends I disagree with strongly about politics. And then some of them we do have kind of a middle ground, because I don't feel like I'm a total liberal left, but then I'm not also a conservative either. I feel like I'm sort of in the range of the between the different subjects, like this thing with Harvey Weinstein. What do you think about that?
That kind of thing is going on in Hollywood ever since there was a Hollywood. Is now people are starting to speak up about it. I mean, some of these ladies just should have said, screamed no, and walked out of the room or started yelling for help if they thought he was actually physically assaulting them. But then on the other hand, he's the guy who's going to put them in the movies, but they call in Hollywood paying your dues.
Right. And the thing of it is that what I've noticed now after that happening is that now there's all these other women coming out of the woodworks going after these other celebrities. You have
including a former president.
Yeah, David Blaine, George W.
Yeah, they opened up Pandora's box.
It's now all these guys. So now I kind of feel like it's what are they going to do? Go after every single male in Hollywood? I mean, women go out there, they dress certain ways. Some of them, nowadays you go on Facebook or Instagram, and a lot of women are flaunting their bodies. So, guys, we have a natural instinct in us to lust for a woman. So now men are going to get punished because
being men,
you like a woman. It's like
men are predators by nature.
And now anything could be considered sexual harassment.
Well, what's interesting was when all this started and women were coming out of the woodwork. I said, it's Hollywood. I'm waiting for some guy to say, like a Harvey or somebody else, and a guy, made improper advances to him. And now all of a sudden the guy came out saying Kevin Spacey, harassed him when he was a teenager. And you're going to start seeing more.
Yeah, it's
non-heterosexual harassment.
It's I don't know. It's ridiculous to me. And maybe it should open up dialogue, that maybe there needs to be some kind of I think men and women need to maybe have some big get together on what is appropriate and etiquette, and what is to be done and what is not to be done. And there's all this gray in between that people get things crossed, because everybody. What I think what it boils down to too is that we're men and women have this attraction, and we are attracted to the outer things, but a lot of times everybody came from a different background, a different family, a different upbringing. And even I wrote about this in one of my stories in my comics, and it's like they're not really people don't really understand each other. Not everybody's not on the same wavelength with different things. So I think there needs to be some kind of I don't know. What do you think?
People complain about sexual harassment and stuff as this. That's just a further emasculation of the American male.
Right. And we've already been, like I said, that's part of the reason for me wanting to stand up on this platform, is because I feel that it's been too much, and that something needs to be done, about what's been going on.
When I started putting the transgender into the military, I knew that was the country's on a road towards hell.
Right. And that